Now, anyone looking for interesting concerts to go to in the London area is in for a real treat tomorrow. Well, actually, this is much more than a concert. This is a fashion opera called RUNE, which is taking place at the Clapton Park United Reformed Church, which is better known as the Round Chapel, one of the most remarkable buildings in London. It's grade 2 listed. I'm very delighted to be joined down the line by the composer of this extraordinary opera, Alastair White. Alastair, welcome to In Tune.
Hi there. Thanks so much for having me. How's it going?
Well, it's great to have you, and everything's very good here in the studio. And
Wonderful.
I want to know, so what exactly is a fashion opera? Could you give us a sort of general definition?
Yeah, thanks so much for asking. Fashion opera is, well, I suppose a style that we've been working on over the past 3 years across a series of collaborations between fashion designers and opera makers. And the idea comes from, I suppose, the central idea is that fashion and opera are mutually exclusive as art forms, i.e. they're always going to collapse into one another. They're almost always going to collapse into one another. Either fashion is going to become costume as part of opera's strategy, or music is going to become the backdrop or the background for the presentation of garment. And the idea of making an art form in which those practices, which are mutually exclusive, could be maintained, was the idea, really. So that this paradox could be the start of exploring a whole load of other questions about contemporary society, from our relationship to technology to what we know about the universe to how we understand ourselves.
So this is a very quite an ambitious idea, really, and I can see what you're saying, sort of try and bring a sort of equality to the fashion, the visuals, the words, the music, so it's all sort of equally important. And can you set the scene for us, Alastair? What's it going to look like? How many musicians, singers, dancers will be on the stage?
So in the centre of the, as you say, the astonishing round chapel will be 3 grand pianos placed in a circle, played by the really masterful virtuosos Ben Smith, Siwan Rees and Joseph Havlat. Towards the pulpit area will be the singers Patricia Ochterlony and Simone Ibbott Brown, dressed in a brand new capsule collection by designers Kawaki, and I've seen some of it, and it really is it's really wonderful stuff, emotional, immersive. It tells a story. It's very, very artful, and around this kind of central area, 4 dancers will move. And kind of bring that story to life in a sort of contingent way. That is both. So there's this within the performance, this real mix of total determinacy from this modernist new complexity background that I'm from, along with this contingency that anything can happen, which is really, really exciting.
And you're calling it RUNE, which is very exciting, sort of conjures up a Nordic flavour. This is just so multidimensional, but can you give us an idea of the sort of sound world?
Yeah, it's called RUNE because it's very much about language, or the relationship between language and cosmology. But you'll have to come and see the opera to find out more about that. The sound world is, well, I suppose it does come from this kind of this modernist tradition, but it hopefully goes to lots of new places. It's the composition's based around, again, like the paradox between fashion and opera. We try to put that in the compositional technique itself by overlaying different compositional methodologies, each of which imply mutually exclusive, I suppose, philosophies of music.
And indeed, we're actually going to have a sample of this now. So we're going to hear what your musical world sounds like, Alastair. Well, this RUNE hasn't been recorded yet. We're going to hear part of Robe, another of your fashion operas, centering around the idea of a poisoned robe. It's very, very fascinating. So this is part of the Song of Heather, featuring soprano Kelly Powkins.
This can't be a hole, this ditch a street. A boy's mouth hung open on a heap. Nonny, nonny, hi-ho, nonny, nonny, hi-ho, hey-ho. His gown was torn, the gold crown buckled. Gorse hung with eyeball and knuckle.
Part of Song of Heather by Alastair White from his fashion opera Robe. Kelly Powkins sounding quite extraordinary there. She was the soprano, Jenny Hogan on the flute, Ben Smith directing from the piano. A gloriously spiky sound world. And Alastair's still with me. Tell me about the path that's led you to this point in your career, Alastair, to these very integrated, multifaceted works of art you called fashion operas. You know, did you always want to be a composer from an early age?
Well, I was originally a pianist in a band up in Edinburgh, back about 10 years ago or so, and got I suppose really discovered opera and classical music through programs like this. So it's a real wonderful thing to be on it today.
That's really good to hear.
It was me and my friends were total super fans, and Journey, getting the night bus down to the proms and that kind of thing. And it showed me really that there are so many things that particularly this art form, opera, can do. Because it's such a nexus of different tactics and strategies. It can do things that any single artist can't really achieve in the same way on their own. In the sense that opera is really it's created by something much more than a person, and that's not even the group, but also all of the tradition that goes into it. You really feel like you're becoming some kind of Optimus Prime kind of thing, all working together and hopefully transcending the limits of your own individuality, and can find out new possibilities, which is a wonderful, wonderful thing.
Yes, so many branches have gone into this work. Very interesting. Are you already thinking of the next one? Because this is part of a series, isn't it? Are you thinking ahead?
Yeah, well, I suppose this is the end really of the first cycle which we started. Myself and my collaborator Gemma Williams, who we set up UU Studios, this fashion opera collective together. We meant to do these 4 operas that we kind of set out and explore what this as an art form could do. But hopefully this is just the beginning, and we'd love to do more and see where it can take us. But I suppose what I've found is that at the end of each opera, you try to answer, say, a certain question. This one deals with the idea of there's a great quote from Stephen Hawking that the universe can and will create itself from nothing, that spontaneous creation is the reason that the universe exists. And so in trying to look at what the implications of that might be for composition, it throws up by trying to answer that, it throws up a whole list of other questions.
My mind is exploding with potential questions that could come from that rather mind-blowing quote.
Me too. And so, hopefully this is, like I say, this is just the beginning of answering those.
It is just great to hear how excited you are, and I want to hear more from the opera cycle so far. So we're going to return to the extraordinary voice of Kelly Powkins with Susie van der Heijden playing the saxophone. Now, this is an excerpt from The Transformation of Tam Lin from your opera Woad, which is inspired by a traditional border ballad all about a young boy bewitched.
the strangeness of the day spell that robes all what's now lost. See powered scale and stone skinned heaviness true eyes of the adder and ape does not iron and shamed undress them. See you
And that was part of the transformation of Tam Lin from Woad by Alastair White. And we heard Kelly Powkins, soprano, and Susie van der Heijden playing the saxophone. And Alastair's new fashion opera Rune is at the Round Chapel in London on Tuesday. That's tomorrow, the 17th of August. I think he's invented a whole exciting new genre of art there. Very interesting to hear him talking about it.